Welcome back to the MVP podcast. My name is B-Man and I'm here joined by Sauce with the sauce, Naeem, the dream, and we've got Uncle Sharma. How you doing, man? Special guest came back again.
Yes, I'm back again, like troops would say.
No, it's good to have you on, man. It's good to have you on. We're still without football. I think it's officially been 50 something days now. 50 plus days.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had nothing to replace it. FIFA doesn't do it anymore.
Listen, before we go any further, yeah? If you like the video, like the video. And subscribe if you're new. Share with your friends. We do appreciate that. I just had to, I couldn't hold it in. I had to say that.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But today we're going to talk football. We're going to talk about some of the best youngsters. ESPN released like a list of youngsters and they ranked them based on how well they thought they were. Did you guys actually get, I don't know if Sharma's seen this list.
No, I actually haven't seen this list.
That's mine. And Naeem, did you get a chance to see the list?
Yeah, I saw it a few days ago. There's some wicked players in there.
What did you make of that list?
There's some wicked talents, man. Honestly, I knew a few of them. I knew a fair few of them, but there's the odd one or two that strikes out. But we'll get into that in a few minutes' time, man.
Yeah. So sad. Did you see the list?
No, I didn't see the list, man. So I don't know. It's news to me.
Do you know, with youngsters, it's really difficult to gauge because there's so many different factors that can affect their future, right? So many of them. So what I did is I went back to a article that I think got released in 2015, right? Of then the best youngsters at the time, right? So I'm gonna just read out because it's on my phone. I can't remember exactly what position they were in, but it was a top.
What year was this? What year was this?
I believe it's 2015, roughly.
Oh, okay.
Around 2015. So I'm gonna name some of the players that were on the list that overperformed since then, right? So, for example, at 81 at the time, you had Jonathan Tah. I don't know if you know him, but he's a German centre back. He was 81 at the time. Bernardo Silva, who we now know as one of the best midfielders in the world, was 70th.
Wow.
0.
Wow.
John Stones has won titles, so I have to show him a bit of respect and include him in the list. He was 66th. You had Paulo Dybala, who was 57th. Yeah. Samuel Umtiti is 54th.
Wow.
And Saul Niguez, who's arguably one of the best midfielders today, was 44th.
Wow. Who was number one?
Yeah.
On that list?
Raheem Sterling.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That figures.
Who made
But,
the list?
but let me add some players that were higher than these players that I've mentioned now, that now have no right to be on this list anymore. At
Okay.
20 is Lazar Markovic. Love. Yeah.
He had so much promise.
Yeah. At number 12, and do you know what? At the time, it did make sense, but it was Adnan Januzaj at number 12.
Oh, yeah. Man United fans loved him.
Absolutely.
They
He
absolutely
had a
did.
few good months and then he was a flop.
And do you know who was 4th? Gerard Deulofeu. I'm going to stop the list there.
Watford.
He's still a good player. He's still a good. He's better than Markovic and the other guy. What's his name? Januzaj. He's better than both of them.
Yeah, well, of course. But he plays more, you know.
Have you seen a picture of Markovic recently? He's chubby now. He's let himself go. I don't even know where he's playing at the moment.
I haven't heard or seen from him since Liverpool, to be fair.
Where is he playing? I don't even know where he's playing now. What's he doing with himself?
Sunday League.
Yo, how about we start the podcast like this, right? How about each of you name one player that you were so dead convinced was going to be a superstar, but never did?
how old we're talking and how far back we're going.
Well, below 23, you can go back as far as you can.
One name
go
pops
on,
up
man.
at me. One name pops up at me. Freddie Adu.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
remembers Freddie Adu?
I do remember Freddie Adu.
But
He was
I don't
supposed
know.
to
I don't
be
think.
that guy.
Did anyone actually ever see him play? Like it just
I
seemed like
did.
it was a.
That's the thing.
Once or twice.
Didn't he get signed to Inter for like he got signed for Inter for like at the age of 15 or something like that.
No, I don't think it was Inter.
He got
Was it
signed
in-
to Rangers. He got signed to
No,
Rangers.
he got signed to an Italian club. I don't know if it was Inter. Apologies if it wasn't. But he got signed to an Italian club, and
Okay.
he just it didn't pan out. Like he played in the under 18s, and he just didn't pan out. He ended up going to America, and then he's like 29 now.
Yeah,
Let
he's-
me-
So he was supposed to be like the next big thing.
Let me hit you with a very controversial one, yeah? And obviously, I know
Okay.
this guy scored one of the best goals ever in terms of his stature. But Mario Götze, like this guy, like they put him on the level of like the Ronaldo. He's gonna hit like the Ronaldo peaks, and not with the goals maybe, but that impact, and he's gonna hit that sort of that top level. But he never did it though. He never ever really hit the peaks. Obviously, the World Cup final goal gives him that credibility. But if you look at it, he was always injured. He barely makes the starting lineup because he's always out. He's always injured. He went to Bayern Munich. He didn't cut. He had to go back to Dortmund. So he's a guy for me. They rated so highly, even on FIFA back in the early days. When he was like 18, 19, this guy was like pulling some sick numbers, but he just never cut it. Just never ever like really lived up to the superstar level, if you want to call it.
but he still has a lot to fall back on. I mean,
Of course.
do you know when Jurgen Klopp was at Dortmund? He was
Yeah.
at the time one of the best midfielders around. So I
Yeah.
think he, although you're right, setting the expectations so high was ridiculous. But
Yeah.
he made a career for himself. So that's
Yeah.
what
I don't think he ever kind of crossed that high level he set. He kind of just
Yeah.
always went downwards.
He had some digestive issues. I think he had to take a year out of football. I think he had like some
Yeah.
digestive issues. He went chubby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still
you
like
could
the
tell.
guy.
Yeah, he wasn't right.
Do you have a player that you were like, yeah, this player is going to be unbelievable and just
Yeah, well, it's at the San Siro we watched Kovacic play when we signed him when he was 19 years old for Inter. So now this past season is probably, I don't know, for me probably was like Chelsea's player of the season or one of the Chelsea's players of the season. But in terms of his career, like I don't think he's achieved what I thought. I thought, he was going to be like Iniesta level. He just had everything, and I thought he was going to go on and dominate world football, but it just hasn't quite worked out. But he seems like he's getting there now. He's finally found his position. I think that was the main issue. He never found his position on the pitch.
Yeah, look, he was playing with Toni Kroos and Luka Modric.
Yeah.
This guy is the only guy to have 3 Champions League medals and have 0 final appearances.
Yeah,
Like
he's done the 3P from the bench.
Exactly. Like, so I don't blame him for not reaching his potential. Like, he's now at Chelsea, so I'm glad that he's finally managing to actually get some game time. I just think he didn't have a chance. That's all it was.
Do you know who I had like really high expectations for? Really falsely, and I never know why, but I used to see the ability and the talent, and that was Andros Townsend. I was at a young age, I was convinced. I was like, if he just gets a little bit smarter, this guy could be. I once coined, and oh my God, it hurts me till this day. I said that he was gonna be almost as good or just as good as Iron Robin because I thought they were really similar.
I was about to say, he was like the English Robin, always cutting in from the right wing.
Thank you. That's what I said, and people laughed at me. I swear, I was like, they play exactly the same. But
I wanted to ask all you guys a question. Like, I wanted to ask, like if you think Haaland is like the real deal, is he going to be, the best, one of the best strikers in the world for the next 10 years, or do you think this is just, that one of those crazy seasons that some players go through?
I mean, if you're that tall, that big, and that fast, I think you've already got like most of the little parts out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
4 goals, he gets into position, he can head, he's a wicked finisher. I don't know, man. And he's at Dortmund. I think that's the key factor. He's at And because of that, I think he'll go quite far.
Yeah, I think no disrespect to Dortmund, but it's the perfect stepping stone to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or a Liverpool or whoever you want to call the bigger clubs. You know, I'm not going to name any more, but it's the perfect stepping stone. He's got that, plus he's got unreal pace as well for a big guy. Like, you look at Lukaku, big guy, strong, muscly, but he doesn't have that kind of pace. He doesn't have that kind of electric burst that Haaland does. That Champions League goal he scored when he went left to right in like seconds, you know, like it's unreal, man. I think things that he's got, some of the natural finishing techniques and skills he's got, you can't teach them things. You know, you either have them, Michael Owen, Solskjaer, a couple of these guys, natural finisher, Bergkamp, they had these natural finishing touches. He's got them at 18, 19. That's why his record last season was like 30-something goals in 18 games at one point, and you can't fluke that kind of stuff, man. You can't. Like, I remember when that El Zaki came to the Premier League, who played for Wigan, that Egyptian guy, and everyone was like, "Yo, Chelsea are gonna buy him because, you know, they're like gonna win the title, they're gonna buy him." But it was only a half a season wonder. I don't think this guy is one of them kind of half season wonders. I think he's legit, man. He's a real deal.
I can't say he's the real deal yet. I can't. Like, the sample size is just too small. Like, it's just too small. If he was like 19, 20 going on, not just 18, and he had a couple of seasons under his belt doing that, then I'm jumping that bandwagon. But, or maybe if he had broke out, if we'd heard about him when he was even younger, and then we saw it, and literally, I've heard of this guy for like a year and a bit, and he's blown up to this point where he's been named on the levels of like Mbappe and that. I'm like, let's put the brakes. I'm not too convinced just yet. Maybe he will, but I'm just not convinced just yet.
So, to be fair, so I don't expect you to kind of, know anyway, because your club has never given young players a chance. Only this year for the first time ever. So you guys don't know young talent anyway. So I don't expect you to know anyway. So that's fine.
Your guys have been living off the class of '92 for so long, yeah. Your guys acting like you guys.
How many titles have we got?
Jesse Lingard, bro. Jesse Lingard. Bro.
Yeah, what about Jesse Lingard? What about Jesse Lingard?
He's apart from him and Pogba, who else is homegrown at Man United?
Many players. Paul Pogba. Yeah, we brought him back.
Paul Pogba had to leave. He had to leave Man United to get better. Come on, man. Don't talk to me about Paul Pogba, bro. He had to leave.
You guys don't know.
Hey, listen. Don't bring nothing to me if you can't back it, bro. Don't come to me like that.
We got plenty of young talent. Don't worry about that, fam.
All right, let's chill.
But Chelsea are actually bringing through a lot of youngsters now. So they're, if anything, right now they're known for trying to stick with these youngsters. Whether or not they're going to do it, and Abramovich has got the patience, who knows?
But don't forget, that wasn't by choice. Let's not forget. Let's not confuse the two. That wasn't by choice. They were forced to do that because they had the ban. So if Lampard came in and they had the money and they were able to spend the money, who knows if he would have given Tammy Abraham, Aston Villa, Championship striker, who knows if they would have gone on that reputation. We don't know, innit? We don't know.
I was going to say, I think it's more of a, how can I describe it? It's like everything had to work together for it to happen like this. It wasn't just a case of the ban happening, but the fact that Frank Lampard came in. Because Frank Lampard, having Jody Morris as his assistant, saw the kids grow up. And so he knew what they were about. If you just got some random manager coming in and we had no transfer ban, then we would sign a bunch of players. Like we did the season before. So
they've done well.
Like that.
They've done really well. They've done really, really well.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, there's no point in discussing some youngsters because really they've done so much already that we can't even consider them youngsters anymore. They're already borderlining world class. So you're talking the likes of Mbappe. I don't think there's any conversation to be had. As a matter of fact, the only conversation to be had about Mbappe is how does he possibly improve on what he does now?
Consistency. Just keep it going.
But what does he do? What does he need to do then to get to? Is it just a case of now, just numbers, just goals, assists to cement him with the likes of your Messis and Ronaldos? Or is there a part of his game that you think he could definitely improve so that he can take the next level?
I think Messi and Ronaldo kind of ruined football with the amount of goals they've scored. Like, everyone's trying to achieve something that I don't think is possible for future generations of footballers. So, like, our expectations are really high, but I think we should at least understand that Messi and Ronaldo were something different. As long
we
as
can't hold footballers to
consistent.
that standard after, like, we need to, once they are done, we need to forget about them. Those numbers, those stats are just out of this world. We can't expect these footballers to even get close to that.
But there's always going to be people that are going to break records that were already set. So maybe in our lifetime, maybe past our lifetime, there is going to be a player that's going to do what Messi and Ronaldo did, plus more. It's possible. It always happens. Someone always breaks records.
Yeah, I think he could be one of the guys that could do it because he started so young. But I think I agree with both the lads. I think they're right. You've got to kind of throw that out the window. What they've done is superhuman. And the last person that comes to mind is Pele or Eusebio, who scored like 700 goals each plus. So those are the only two guys, and those guys played in the 60s and the 70s. You know, so since then, Maradona was considered one of the greats, but he only scored a couple of hundred goals, and that's still a lot. Raul scored so many goals. Fat Ronaldo, R9, he scored so many goals. Mbappe's got a chance, but like if you look at Ronaldo and Messi, man, 50, 60 goals every year for 10, 12 years plus. Like, come on, man. That's like, Lewandowski's done unbelievable, and even he's fallen short. And he scored like 40, 50 goals, and even he's fallen short. So you're talking about just unreal greatness.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of I don't know the numbers. I really don't know the numbers. But I think in all sports, what they've done for the consumers anyway is they've tried to speed it up. They've done it in basketball's gone faster, NFL's gone faster, and football has also gone faster because I feel like there's more emphasis on quick passing. Maybe more direct, if I say so. But if this trend continues, then we are going to get to a stage where football is going to be that fast and that smooth. We could see like an uptick in the number of goals that happen. When that's going
you're seeing a lot of defending is definitely not the same level that it used to be before. And definitely like athleticism, as you're saying, like it's taken over. A lot of the players now are more athletes rather than footballers first. You know, the players, they look at the stats, how much ground they've covered rather than how many passes they've completed and things like that. So it's definitely becoming a different game. We're losing that number 10 position, you know, that the trequartista, as they call it in Italian football, that the creative role that doesn't exist anymore. You know, you have these hybrid midfielders, hybrid wingers. No, there's no like specialist position anymore. Apart from strikers, that's probably the one that will remain. Strikers and centre backs, where everything else is like kind of blending in. Fullbacks that could play, you know, inverted fullbacks, false nines. You know, everything's a bit hybrid now.
Do you know what player fits that perfectly? It's Bayern Leverkusen's Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
He's an attacking mid that's been playing false nine for a year, but he can play deep because he's such a good passer and his awareness is brilliant. So I think you're 100% right. Players are now expected to be more versatile so that they can cover more of the pitch.
And just to kind of like spark another point, you know, like the Ozil type player. Like you can see why the Ozil type player gets criticism week in, week out. It's not because he's not a great player. It's because he's not adaptable to today's football. It's like Juan Mata as well. Even Juan Mata maybe 7-8 years ago when he had a bit more pace would still be criticised because he doesn't have as, you know, the flexibility and he's not as able to play multiple positions in that sense as some of these younger guys. You're spot on again, man. It's about the stats. Look at Adama Traore. He only had raw pace and speed before. There's so many players like that who can't kick a football straight, but they just can run faster than anyone. And then they teach them how to cross the ball, how to hit the ball, where to hit it, how to get past your player and keep the ball, keep balance. They teach you all these other things, but they look at these raw talents first. And I think that's going to be the trend going forward. Unless you're technically gifted like the Messis and the Ronaldos and some of these other guys, you know, you've got that God-given talent, they're going to look for these athletic talents first, more so going forward.
You guys want to throw out a name?
Sancho.
Mm.
I think he's going to be, because right now we're seeing the start of, it's almost like we know what to expect. We've read this story before. We're just waiting for it to kick in, because this kid has been lighting up in the Bundesliga. Like we kind of thought, oh, he's gone to Germany. Like when he first moved there, kind of as a novelty, thinking, oh, he's just going there because he wants to move. He's had enough of City. He didn't want to stay there. But now it's like, yo, this guy's actually doing bits. Going further forward now, and he's getting an England call up. Now he's been touted to being moved either to Man United and to Chelsea. He's looking like he can be rivaling the Haalands and the future stars.
He plays with Haaland, don't forget.
Oh yeah, he does play with Haaland, but that's what I'm saying.
Did he move back to England?
Eventually he will.
No, should
Eventually he will.
No, should
Oh,
he?
yeah. Not yet, but yeah, you
Why?
should. I just think, obviously, the Premier League is the best league in the world, isn't it? And if you want to prove yourself, you've got to be in the best league in the world, because that league is dominated by two teams, Dortmund and Bayern Munich. And if you can't win at Dortmund, you move to Bayern. It's the trend. If you don't win at Juventus over the last 7-8 years, you move to Juventus. Sharma can speak to that. That's what happens more times than not. If you can't win at Juventus, you move to Juventus. If you can't win at one of the other teams, you move there. So if you can't win at Dortmund, the league title or the Champions League or something, either you move to Bayern Munich or you move away from Dortmund. So I think, yeah, the time will be very soon. He's already started getting unsettled. He's already started, before all this lockdown, there was like reports that he's going to hand in a transfer request. God knows what's true and what's not. But I think Sosa's right. I think one of those two teams will probably get him, more than likely.
Don't you think England is sort of half moving towards that two-horse race league in the first place? Don't you think England, although, yes, to a certain extent, I do agree it's the best league in the world.
Yeah.
We are very top-heavy as well.
This last year or two we have been, yeah, but if you look prior to that, like there was always Chelsea was challenging Man City, Leicester won the year before, United were challenging before that. There's always a couple of teams in the Tottenham were challenging and they lost a couple of times within all of that. There's always a few teams in there. Arsenal, I mean, I know people probably can't remember, but Arsenal were a good team at one point as well, a top 6 team. So you've always got different teams challenging. There, it's predominantly two. There's the odd one that comes in out of nowhere, like the Leipzig, for example. They came out of nowhere and they've been challenging for a few years as well. But we've got more teams, I'd say.
Sharma, are there any Italian players? Are there any Italian youngsters that you think are going to come up and?
Well, finally, like Italy went through like an 8 or 10 year period where it was just like the Sahara Desert. Like there was no talent coming through. It was just dead. Like, you saw after the 2006 World Cup, really, like it's just been a downhill process. 2012, we did all right. We got to the final with Spain in the Euros. We had Balotelli and Cassano up front. Obviously, Balotelli is like one of the probably last big talents. But after that, we've kind of struggled. But now I see quite a few good talents coming in the Italian league, Italian talents. So the main one that comes to me is Sandro Tonali. I don't know if you guys heard of him.
Yeah, he's big time.
Brescia.
Yeah, so he's been linked with Man United and like other big teams, even Barcelona. He's like, technical. He looks like, you see him, he looks like Andrea Pirlo, but he's quite tough. Like he's a tough tackling midfielder, but he's like really technical. He's like the complete package. He's only like 19 years old and yeah, he's been playing for a relegation battling club and he's been standout performer. And yeah, I see him as like the best Italian talent out there right now. Apart from him, we've got Zaniolo, the guy who plays for Roma. He's another interesting talent. He's a bit of an all-round midfielder as well. He's got quite a good physique for his size, and yeah, he's quite a powerful midfielder. But apart from that, is the striking. That's what we've lacked, a proper striker, in Italy for a long time. Immobile is putting in the numbers for the national for Lazio, but he doesn't do it for Italy. So that's the one where we don't have a talent, and hopefully someone comes through soon, because yeah, it's a big problem position. But at the back, we've got, for Inter, plays Bastoni. He's a 19-year-old. He's played like 12, 13 matches for us this season. He's took over from Godin at times, and he's looked even better than Godin, because Godin, you know, he's 34 years old. He's aging, but Bastoni looks a really like composed, elegant defender. So yeah, those are the standout ones for me in Italian football.
What do you think? What are some of the factors, like some of the biggest factors that could stunt, that could stunt the growth of a youngster?
Well, in Italy, one of the main talking points is that they don't have a reserve league. So, you know, in England, you have a reserve league where most of the youth players would play like an under 23 league, or you would call it. So there's that middle bit between the youth team, reserve, and the proper team. So there's a stepping stone. In Italy, you go from the youth team straight into like the proper football, and most of the players just get lost in that. There's that middle step that they struggle with you know, that step up. They just can't do it. So that's something that, you know, need to look into. They're talking about introducing the B teams that they have in Spain. You know, in Spain they have Barcelona B, Real Madrid B. You know, these teams that kind of help the youth prospects settle in a bit more into proper football. And I think that's a good idea. I think even for English teams moving forward, it might be a way forward to like give youngsters a chance and a platform to improve.
But you know what? England has churned out quite a lot of very, very, very good youngsters. For example, the list I was talking about at the start of the video, one of the guys at the MVP podcast, he put it in the group and said, have a look at this. And it's 36 players, I believe. Out of the 36, England got the most youngsters on that list. The problem is that most of them are all attacking players. There aren't many like defensive players. But I can remember, I don't know if you can remember, Naeem, I think it was like 7, 8 years ago where England were talking about we need to start from grassroots and we need to adapt approach youth, and we can't just expect them to play the same way that we've done for so long and expect a different outcome. So they've changed it, and I think, and a lot of teams have put in a lot of money to try and improve their youth academies and trying to get as many players as they possibly can to see, like, to have a bigger pool of talent. And I think in England, it's working because we're getting the likes of your Jadon Sancho, your Phil Fodens, your Reece James. Those are just the three that I could remember off the top of my head. But
Hudson-Odoi, Rashford, Sterling, obviously, but he's a bit older now. There's so many, man. Harry Kane, he came through.
Yeah.
You know, started at low level. There's so many, man. But do you know the guy who I'm thinking of? I don't know if you've heard of him. But this guy, I watched him at the beginning of the season, and he bossed that team that you've got on, Balak. He bossed PSG.
Oh, I know you.
16 years old. Yeah. This guy is a G, man. Camavinga, Eduardo Camavinga. I've never seen such a guy at 16 composed. Verratti, Mbappe, all of them, just tear them apart, tear them a new one, man. I think they ended up getting a draw in the end, but honestly, no, I think maybe they actually won. I don't know, I can't remember, but it was at the beginning of the season, and this guy was just an unbelievable G-man. And he's checked out our story a few times as well, man. Tried to communicate with him, very good English, yeah, Camavinga, but this guy is, honestly, man, he's unstoppable. Box to box, tall, lanky. Maybe the next Pogba, maybe the next Kante, depends on obviously what type of player you're looking for, but they could mold him into anything. I've even tried to say, like, push, you know, where's he going to move, but he's only 17. He's, you know, he's got so many years ahead of him, man. But for me, he's the most impressive young talent. Maybe if you take out the Haalands who have got the big goals, or the Mbappes who are the superstars, he's that kind of, him and another one from Lyon, Rayan Cherki as well. He's another one, man. Them two guys, man, honestly, I follow a lot of French football because they've got so many young talents, and those two guys just head and shoulders above the rest for me.
How important do you guys think it is for these youngsters to stay at their teams throughout the first at least 4 or 5 years of their careers? Or do you think that if they're good enough, they should just go?
I don't think they need to stay. I think if the only reason why you would stay is if you're getting regular playing time and the coach has faith in you. If you're not getting the playing time, then that's as far as stunting growth goes. Not being able to play is probably going to be the one thing that would stunt a player's growth. If you're not able to touch the field, then it's going to be a case of I need to go somewhere where I can play. I think that's going to be the main thing for players.
But what if you get that, and this is not a name, I'm just coming up with it now. What if you get that Bojan syndrome, where you move to a big club, you're getting regular football, but you can't, the pressure of being able to play for such a big team is too difficult. Not only does it stunt your growth, you don't grow anymore, and your career just literally falls off a cliff. What do you do in a situation like that?
It depends on the player, because only a player would know if they're feeling affected by the weight of the world and their soldiers. And if that's the case, they would need to speak out and talk to the team about it. But it's I have a feeling that as long as you're playing games, I'm assuming that you're going to be happy at that. If you're playing games and you're not happy about it, then you need to look in and find out what is the reason that you're unhappy. And if it's something else, other factors outside of the club, then maybe a change of scenery will help.
You speak to Sharma.
He
He beat your guys up.
Yeah.
You might as well speak to him.
Sharma, tell me how you think of how he performed in Sharma.
Well, he literally came on for like 10 minutes and like, yeah, just bust us up. He seems like he's really technical. Like he seems to have all the basics, and he seems to. Well, the thing I look most in the players, he seems to have a level head. He doesn't seem to be carried away with anything. He just seems to be, feet on the ground, similar to like what Haaland seems to have. That mentality, just like head down. Doesn't really matter what I've done. It's more about what I'm gonna do and going ahead. So I think he's definitely got a big future ahead of him. Whereas Bojan, I think he seemed like I know you just picked that name at random. It just seemed like he got caught into the hype. He was like the all-time top scorer for the Barca youth, and named the new Messi and everything. I think he got caught in the headlights there. Then if you're ready, you're ready. Like if you think back to like Rafael Varane when he moved to Real Madrid, they picked him out. They plucked him out of nowhere in France, and Pepe was there, Ramos was there, and he managed to get that starting spot in that Real Madrid team somehow, and he's been probably one of the best centre backs in the world. So if you're good enough, you're ready.
Do you know what my greatest concern is when it's young attackers or young strikers? It's once they get that feel for the goal, the entire mentality is guided by the idea of just having to score goals every single game, and it doesn't allow them to then focus on other parts of the game that they might not be good at because they've been scoring goals at a young age for so long that when the goals don't come anymore, they don't have anything to fall back on. So, for example, someone that was really lucky with his career, for example, is Ruud van Nistelrooy. He didn't really have much to his game other than the fact that he knew where to be at the right time to put the ball in. They used to make a joke before he moved to Madrid how he never would score a goal outside the box, and that all he would do is be that fox in the box and score. But yeah, when I seen Ansu Fati score all those goals, in my head, I was thinking, well, if his whole game is going to be surrounded by just goals, and that's all he'll ever be, is a guy that's going to try and chase goals. But we know that sometimes you get them in bunches, and sometimes it just don't come to you. And when it doesn't come to you, what do you do? So Suarez, for example, he might not score a goal in that game, but he's going to affect it in like a million different ways possible. Maybe an assist or getting someone sent off or anything really. But that's not.
What do you guys make of like someone like Ousmane Dembele, who kind of, he was at that level like Sancho, Haaland, a few years ago, he was there right at the top of like the best talents. And then he got his big move, he forced it. And then now, it's not really worked out that well.
Well, I personally feel sorry for him because it all started off when the price tag. That's the thing in football nowadays is you can't hide from anything. Everything's on social media. Everything's reported. Everything's documented better than it ever has been. So when you move from Dortmund to Barcelona for a German record, 135 million, I think it was, all of a sudden the pressure is on you to replace Neymar, who was MSN. He was the man. He was getting so many goals. So that's impression number one. Number two, Dembele's never been that kind of finisher that Neymar has been. So you're asking for like replacement. The thing that didn't help as well was Coutinho was flopping too at the same time. So you bring in two good players for a big price tag, but both of them flopped. You know, they both flopped. They both didn't replace Neymar. Barcelona was still winning, but not really as good as they were. But those two weren't playing very well. The thing that I wanted to say was obviously with these young players, it's kind of, I had a chat with a fighter a couple of days ago. I'm not going to say because obviously it's not out yet. When it does come out, you'll see. But it was about money, and it was about, you know, when you get too much money, does the desire and the motivation to win evaporate? And do you then just care about the money? And I was asking him about boxing. Like, you know, a lot of these guys, they'll get their paychecks, and then all of a sudden, the hunger to win is no longer there. They'll go for that 50 million fight if they can get it, but they don't care if they get knocked out or if they're going to lose. They're not that bothered. It's just about cashing the check. And I think with the footballers, it's similar to some, because some of these guys have never seen 100 grand, 200 grand a week. From having poverty and having nothing to seeing that, you may not then have the desire to want to achieve more success, because you may think 200 grand a week is enough success for me. That's not for all of them, but that's what I think has stunted a lot of people. You look at the Januzajs, and a perfect example is Vinicius and Martin Odegaard. Look what happened to Odegaard when he got to Real Madrid. He got loaned out. He barely even played a minute, because young guy, got the paycheck, but does the work stop there? That's the thing. And this guy told me, obviously, it depends on where the work stops for you guys. Does it stop there, or do you carry on?
Did you know the thing with Odegaard though is he did bounce back. He was one of the best midfielders in the La Liga.
Yeah, now he is, yeah, but he had a dip. And it's like Bojan. He had a dip, but Bojan never recovered. Odegaard has recovered. And he's big time. He's big time. It's hard, man. Obviously, the money nowadays is unreal. Sancho, like 18, 19 years old, he's got more money than his dad probably ever made in his life. It's just ridiculous amounts of money. So even listening to someone with authority may be difficult, because it's like, a lot of these young kids, it's like, I got more money than you'll ever make in your life. Why have I got to listen to you? I did this, and that's the sad, harsh reality of youngsters today in general.
Do you know, when I first moved to England, we're talking about 2005-ish, right? I moved to England and I was in Morrison's. Yeah, I was in Morrison's because I used to live, it doesn't even matter. But I used to go to Morrison's, and there used to be this magazine for kids, but it was a football magazine, right? And I can remember the first one that I ever bought, and it was all about youngsters at the time.
Match.
Yes, it was, right? And on the list of, I think it was top 50 youngsters, and it was an amazing read. The top two were as follows. Fernando Torres was number 2, and Jermaine Genius was number 1.
Oh, wow.
And we know exactly how that played out. But at the same time, there is a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old somewhere in the world, maybe Africa or Central Europe or even in America, that aren't even discovered, that could make a massive time in But I think we can all agree that it's difficult to judge a player's future, because there's so many things that's even out of the players' hands themselves. But I think we're gonna have to put a stop to it there, because I think we're way past the limit that we were.
Oh yeah, we're way past time. I can tell.
Is there anything else that you guys want to add? Was there anything that you guys found out before we came on?
No, nothing from me.
Specifically, no.
No,
I think that we're all missing football. We've all established that.
Yeah.
Oh, Chelsea have got better youth prospects than Man United.
No, they haven't. But it's all right. So.
100% they do. 100% they do.
Chelsea have had prospects for the last 15 years winning the under.
They have so many under 19 Champions League medals. It's unbelievable.
I know. They're so coveted. They're so coveted.
None of them work out. Who can remember? As a matter of fact, who can remember that midfielder that Chelsea had? We're talking around
Josh McEachran.
Oh my God! Can you remember how fast they got?
They said he's like going to be bigger than Joe Cole because Joe Cole was with you guys at the time. He's going to be bigger than like Deco and all these guys.
You know who he reminds me of? That Billy Gilmore that's coming through now. He makes 5-6 passes, albeit decent passes, and all of a sudden, look how amazing he is. No, shut up, man.
It wasn't just about the passes, man. It's about his ball retention.
All right, listen. We know you got the next Ronaldinho and Ronaldo and Rivaldo and, you know, Sosinho and this guy and that guy and the other guy, but they never pan out, man. They never pan out.
Alright, bruv, you got to be happy with Brandon Williams.
Tammy Abraham might be your best ever youngster, and he's only played like half a season with you guys, or a season, and that's saying something,
yeah, he's
man.
putting work.
Yo, by the way, Chelsea have got quite a few youngsters now. They're actually quite decent.
Yeah, they have.
I swear Loftus-Cheek is going to be like Lingard. He's going to be like a youngster forever. he's only like 24, 25.
Loftus-Cheek's got techers.
Sharma,
He's genuinely got techers.
You're laughing now, but in a year's time, we'll be wearing an Inter-shirt and we'll see that.
Yes.
And then you're going to understand that the only thing that he's good at is playing Arsenal. Because
let's wrap this up. Guys, if you like the video, subscribe if you're new, share with your friends. We do appreciate that. Guys, it's the MVP podcast.
And on that note, peace.
Peace.